Let's give a warm welcome to Mr. Prakash. Mr. Prakash is Chief Operating Officer at ACE Designers Ltd. He has over 3 decades of professional experience in machine tools and auto industry operations. Leading the turning division, he manages P&L, SBUs, component manufacturing, supply chain, enhancing quality, safety, and environmental standards. Mr. Prakash gained expertise from previous roles at Toyota Kirloskar Auto Parts and Toyota Japan, specializing in manufacturing, engineering, and quality management. Coming from a mechanical engineering background, he did M.Tech in digital manufacturing and MS in manufacturing management. Mr. Prakash contributes actively to industry bodies like ASSOCHAM, IMTMA, etc., and holds certification as Toyota Business Practices Trainer. Today, Mr. Prakash will explore the ESG and future of machining and machine tools. So please welcome Mr. Prakash.
Thank you very much. I think this is a wonderful opportunity for me to actually share my thoughts on ESG and future of machining. And to be frank with you, all of you, that the machining itself, the term itself is a little contradictory, or it's like opposite of sustainability. So, but let me try and do my best to explain about my thoughts. Let me start with, so I think predominantly I'll just focus on a few things on the need for green manufacturing. I think it's been very well deliberated in this session, but a little thought on that. And I'd like to connect few things about SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, and BRSR. Probably it's a new animal which is there, business responsibility and sustainability reporting, which is going to come. And I think all of us have to get into that. And then, of course, the ESG, or very shortly called as sustainability, and the BRSR relationship, which probably I have done a little study on this as part of my dissertation in the independent director through Institute of Directorship. Then, of course, I'll talk about machining, machine tools, typical machine tool supply chain. Probably it's not much different from others. And recent trends in manufacturing towards sustainability. I'll talk a little bit about ACE Designers and initiatives at ACE Designers. I think everybody knows the need for manufacturing, need for green manufacturing. And it's even more felt in the current situations of global warming, climate change and all that. And also the resource scarcity, economic and social implications, and the customer demands are constantly changing. And the earth is becoming warmer and warmer. Obviously, the green principles of green manufacturing are again going back to the fundamentals. Sometimes I remember this as that we need to go back to our 200 years back, where the resources were effectively used or very minimally used, and there were hardly any environmental pollution, and energy was very, very less, and also it was used less. And the fourth one is product design environment and reverse logistics and recycling. I think these are some of the things. I don't want to get into details because most of it was touched upon by Ms. Pandey, that all these things have to be considered if you would like to really look at a green manufacturing. And future trends in green manufacturing, of course, some of that was also touched during our discussion. The Industry 4.0, need of advanced materials and nanotechnology, decentralized manufacturing, eco-friendly packing and innovations, green supply chain management itself, and artificial intelligence for energy optimization. I think Mr. Prahlad was talking about this on energy management system, and global collaboration for sustainability. And the last one is customer-driven sustainability. I think these are all things which are coming out as a future trends in green manufacturing. And to talk about, of course, the greenhouse effect, everybody knows the reason why we are talking about all this carbon footprint is the result of higher carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, resulting in Earth becoming more and more, and there is a less amount of the gases being escaped out of the environment, atmosphere. And this right side predominantly gives you an indication about which industries are actually contributing to the CO2. Predominantly, I would say the industry where I come from, the industrial process contribute about 16.8. The transportation is also part of this. Then the waste disposal, and probably some portion of the land use and biomass burning, because some of the waste which we are actually generating, although we say we are I know for the current regulations per se, we have to actually dispose it through the certified disposal agents from the Pollution Control Board, but still this causes a kind of a pollution. So all this actually is a broad indicator about why we are looking at the CO2 as an important element in the our sustainability. And I just give you a brief background. The business responsibility and sustainability reporting actually becoming more and more must condition. It's not like an optional. And I think Government of India has come out with BRSR as an effective compliance and communication tool for the company's non-financial disclosures. I just tried to give an indication here. The principle 2 talks about business should provide goods and services in a manner that is sustainable and safe. I think this has got to connect to even SDGs. I think the 9 principles of BRSR are being mapped in this. You will find that every principle of the BRSR is connected to some way or the other the 17 sustainable development goals. That means to say, I think Government of India is trying its best to look at holistically how to promote sustainability. And this is my take on the so far what I have done the work. Now, when it comes to the ESG, environment, societal and governance, and the BRSR, see what happens for industries is that if you bring in too many elements, they get confused. Now, how do we look at what are the interconnected between these aspects? So I found that even ESG or a BRSR has a very strong connect with all the metrics which a ESG talks about in the environmental metrics, social metrics, or the government metrics. So it's basically, I would say that if you are trying to focus on few of these things, it has an impact on all the other things. That means ESG, BRSR, and SDGs are all interconnected if you take and implement it seriously. Just taking you to the machining and machine tools, I'll give a brief background about where actually machine tools comes from. This is a graph which is basically shows the portion of total carbon footprint and the product carbon intensity. So not that all of them are equal. This only shows the relative portion of how much is in the upstream and the downstream, and how much is actually direct operations are contributing. So if you see the various industries, probably you will find that some of the industries are more on the upstream, contributing to the CO carbon intensity or carbon footprint, and the operations are actually minimal. I think this was very well touched upon in the initial discussion, that operations actually constitutes a very less portion of your carbon footprint, and it has to be more focused on supply chain. In fact, I am told that supply chain constitutes about 11 times the carbon footprint than your operations. So machine tool actually forms a part of the capital goods equipments, and is important to note magnitude of product carbon intensity in value chain to prioritize our efforts towards carbon footprint, which means to say that we tend to actually look at, of course, we have to set our house in order initially, but at the same time, we need to have a long-term thinking about if you want to look at entire value chain or the life cycle of the product, we have to start from the well to wheel or cradle to grave as well. And when it comes to machining, I think, as I said, the machining, the word itself actually is a highly intensive energy requirement operation. So by very nature, it is actually goes against sustainability and conservation of resources. So if you really look at it, we should not do machining. We should actually use directly. That's where other technologies have come in. And sustainable machining is actually defined as a creation of products by cutting material that uses processes that are environment friendly, economically sound, and safe for employees, consumers, communities, as well as and can conserve energy. Now, it cannot make it zero, but at least it should be able to reduce energy. This is about a fair depiction about how a machine tool manufacturers, the carbon footprint is coming from. I'm talking from cradle to grave situation. You will find that the majority, what we buy, the steel or the cast iron products, actually they constitutes almost about 30 to 40% of our carbon footprint. I'm talking about from a life cycle point of view. Then, of course, the procurement is there, which is about supplier carbon footprint and inbound logistics. Then the third one is about the in-house machining, fabrication, whatever we call. And that is where we start initially applying our technologies and reducing how to reduce. Then, of course, after the production is over, it is a sales and then user, outbound logistics come into picture, and then, of course, disposal. Most of our products generally last for more than 20 years through a lot of reconditioning and reworking on that and all that. So, but however, at some point of time, it has to go into the disposal mode. Again, it has to get into a remelting of these some of the elements. I'm talking about a large portion of the product is generally consists of a steel and metals, I would say. And what are the challenges you find? Basically, you'll find the challenges of there are a lot of technological hurdles. Still, as we talk, there are some progress, there are some developments in various materials as well as the processes. And the energy intensity is still very high if you really look at the machine tools. Supply chain complexity is very high because we operate in a plant environment called as a plant layout called as A, where there is a lot of synchronization required to achieve one product. And we do have a lot of varieties, about 200 varieties of machines we make and cater to 300 customers, 80,000 installations in India. And of course, the other challenges are the regulatory compliance. When I mean regulatory compliance, it's not just the OEMs or the machine tool builder, it's also about our supply chain, the supply partners, MSMEs, and the behavioral change. I think this is one area where I don't know what actually makes this change. Sometimes the government regulations and the rules have to be really enforced to make a behavioral change. OEM and machine tool builders need to handhold and facilitate their entire supply partners in the journey of sustainability and CO2 footprint reduction. Otherwise, I think it's going to be people will just try to do what is just required and not go beyond that, because see, until it's like a frog in the well, frog in a in a bowl where the water is being slowly heated, doesn't know that it is actually going to kill. So it's like that, if you are not trying to understand the danger of not trying to work on the sustainability, it's going to be a problem for everybody. There are certain assessment methodologies, life cycle assessment. I think a lot of things are there. Carbon accounting tools, input-output analysis. I think Ms. Pandey will be very well aware of this, and she will be able to throw more light on this. I'd like to touch on more on this, not touch more on this. And the expectation, I think sustainability, if you really look at, these are some of the things which the OEMs or our customers will be asking. And I would say that the user of machine tools are demanding more and more energy, less energy consumption, less of air consumption, less of oil and coolant, maybe dry machining and like that, and they don't want any machines to break down. It should be zero maintenance. In fact, zero maintenance is a very powerful concept. We have heard of a zero breakdown, but not zero maintenance. So, and the zero waste generation, and that's where the new technologies come into picture about how do we actually manufacture without really taking out the material from a part. Some recent technology trends in manufacturing towards sustainability are, I think this is some of the things. Recently, I did attend the last year, the EMO, which is held in Hanover, one of the world's largest machine tool exhibitions, or where a lot of technologies come in, and it's a thing which is happening now. The people are looking at bio-based coolants, natural composites. I think this is very well taken from the aerospace industry probably, and looking at this, the bio-friendly machine guards or the enclosures, low power, no power consumption or optimization of all the energy sources. Same time, you find that certain technologies are changing the way we are looking at machining itself or machine tool. Complete solution from printing to finishing of metal parts. Hybrid machining, I think Mr. Prahlad Rao also talked about it. But there are pros and cons of 3D printing as well. If you see the 3D printing, it is still developing. The pros, of course, are the complexity is very, very cheap in case of 3D printing, where the cons are it has a very high specific energy consumption. So right from the metal powder, you'll have to melt it and then form it. So I think there are a lot of activities going on how to actually further reduce the carbon footprint in this area also. I think this is some of the examples how a machine tool builder is actually trying to look at lesser of energy consumption or resource utilization. A good example of a typical machine tool with some of the elements, using LED lighting, power saving modes, and chiller units. Of course, CO2 reduced through refrigerant inverter improvements, linear guide lubrication. I mean, these are some of the accessories. Probably it's more technical in nature for the larger audience. Probably they do understand that basically everybody is trying to look at how to minimize the energy which goes into working of these machines. And I just mentioned part of that was on the technology, additive manufacturing. I did mention there are beyond that not just the metal cutting. Their near net shape manufacturings are also evolving. I would say these existed, but the energy efficiency was not so much focused on. Now even here also in this, energy for efficiency has been very well focused, and it's very much improving also. Just about ACE Designers, I think we are the largest manufacturers of CNC turning and milling machines, and we started our journey in 1979, and we are committed to make in India for the world. And I think brief about it, 3 entrepreneurs from CMTI dared to become entrepreneurs when most machines were imported. They started making machines in a car shed. Now we are the largest, and we continue to still work on how do we improve further. Innovation has been our one of the important aspects in our development. We have a group of 8 companies. We have a very good design and innovation facility as well. I think sustainability journey right now, while we are trying to meet the legal or statutory requirements, and we are actually very serious about going for sustainability through Green Co certification. And recently we did achieve a Green Co Gold certification, which is the national best. Just a few things about our company: ISO Green Co certification, solar rooftop panels, energy consumption reduction activities are ongoing, plastic consumption reduction, and waste elimination through our 3R. Just mention, this is one of the things which we have taken very seriously, not just our company, but entire Indian Machine Tool Manufacturer Association, IMTMA, has clearly stated in their vision that all machine tool companies have to embrace Green Co and achieve a platinum level where almost everything is addressed, focusing on the energy and the conservation of resources. I think there is also a confusion when you start looking at so many certifications. Now, what do we do? Actually, there is an ISO, there is a Green Co. But through our studies, we found that ISO actually sets the overall framework for energy environmental management systems. And Green Co gives a much more detail about how to implement, what all things we need to look at it. And that's where I just try to share this picture with all of you. And the details, I think you will find it when you get into a little more detail about the Green Co, what it means, all the 10 parameters of measurements. Some of these, we are also caring and committed to the environmental protection and promotion. We do celebrate our Environment Month as a symbol of commitment, where our founders, lead directors, and all employees are committed for the green and the environment. And we do have a roadmap towards the green energy. We are currently about 40%. We want to achieve about 90% in our operations. And in terms of ESG, which is sustainability, which has to encompass all the areas, not just our operations, we do have our own roadmap. We are committed to go in this direction, and we have taken it very seriously, both in our vision, mission. The purpose itself states that impact manufacturing, enrich lives sustainably, which means we are very serious looking at this, and we are working on this in the similar direction. As a summary, I would like to just leave a few 5 points. ESG is becoming necessity and a boon rather than an evil for the business prosperity. I think those who have embraced this have actually got the results out of it, not the top line or bottom line, but also it has become one of the most investor friendly also. I mean, investors do look at now ESG as one of the most important parameters. Indian OEM and machine tool builders should embrace ESG practices, collaborate locally and compete globally. I think we should stop competing with each other, more collaborate. We should have a thrust on research and development in material and resource efficiency through collaborative efforts of research institutions, industry, academia. So we are also working on trying to see how we can collaborate with the institutions on a long term. I think one of the important points through this medium, I would like to say that government intervention and facilitations in terms of grants, tax exemptions, and carbon credits for enhancing the green manufacturing ecosystems will go a long way in actually driving this. Hub and spoke model for driving ESG practices by machine tool builders and their supply partners. So with that, I would like to conclude my explanation. Thank you very much for a patient listening.
Thank you, Mr. Prakash, for exploring the ESG and future of machining and machine tools.